Welcome to another episode of the Box Office Dynasty. I'm Josh.
And I'm Jack.
And friends, we got a busy one for you today. We're very excited. A lot that we're going to be talking about. So some of the things that you can look forward to today is we're going to actually talk a bit about these tariffs, this tariff war between the United States and China, specifically its effects on the film industry. We're going to talk about some announcements that have come out in the last week or so. We're going to talk about Robert Pattinson a little bit and some of his upcoming work. We're going to talk about the Batman, of course, because of that. I'm going to give a quick review of season 3 of The White Lotus. And finally, Jack and I have a very special segment coming up later in the show that we're excited about. So stay tuned for all of it. And of course, our usual shenanigans of our different segments. I'm going to take the stand. It's going to be interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, there's a lot of thick meat in this episode.
Yeah,
This is the meat and potatoes.
Oh,
Hey
okay.
yo, my bad.
All right. Jeez.
Okay.
Kind of a compliment. I'll take
Yeah,
it.
there's a lot of thick meat on this show.
But before I take the stand, my friend, I'm actually going to surprisingly put you on the stand. I didn't tell you this before.
Bro, chill.
One question, just one question
God, I'm
to
nervous.
put
What
you
the
on the
hell?
stand. And so this is something that I was talking to with my coworkers actually the other day. And actually, it's kind of been a trending question on Twitter and different things. So
I'm
I
nervous.
wanted to ask you. I wanted to pose the question on the pod and get your response here. So my question for you on the stand is: if you had to delete one of these four DreamWorks franchises, which one would you do? Your face makes me think that you've seen this
No,
question
I've never seen this,
online.
but I'm going through my head of all the franchises that you're gonna pick.
One of four. One of four.
Okay.
How to Train Your Dragon, Shrek, Kung Fu Panda, or Madagascar.
I can tell you right now, it's not Shrek and it's not Kung Fu Panda because those are so fucking good. Like, Kung Fu Panda and Shrek are top tier. I think Kung Fu Panda is better than Shrek, if I'm being honest. I'm
Wow,
de-
really?
I'm getting rid of Madagascar
Yeah.
because Madagascar has maybe two good movies. No, I mean, How to Train Your Dragon has three good movies. Kung Fu Panda has two and a half. You know,
I mean, the third one's fine. It's good. It's not as good as the first two, but
actually, Shrek really only has two good movies. Now that I
yeah,
think
but they're
about it,
so good.
they're
Like,
too iconic
how do you
to get
get rid
rid
of
of.
Shrek and Shrek 2?
Madagascar is the least iconic of the four, and it's probably it's not the oldest, is it? No, Shrek's definitely the oldest.
Nah, Shrek is definitely the
But like
oldest.
Madagascar just doesn't have that like relevance. I don't know. I'm getting rid of Madagascar.
You know, that's what I would say too. Too many people online said How to Train Your Dragon. I thought that was nuts. Those movies are
Of
like,
what?
those are that's probably the most consistent franchise of these four options
Yeah,
in
it
terms
definitely
of
is.
quality and storytelling. And the thing about Madagascar is like, I feel bad getting rid of that one because it's so funny.
I do
Like there
love it.
was,
I do love it.
it's so funny. There was a
Yeah.
scene. There's one scene from the second one where the penguins, like Skipper and all them, are in like
Forgot about the penguins,
they're
dude.
like in a union negotiation with the chimps. To
Yeah,
fix
yeah,
the plane, and the chimps want maternity leave, and he looks under the table and he's like, "You're all male," and then
yeah.
he puts out like these photos, these blackmail photos of Skipper
With
with
the
like the hula hoop lady,
like the
like
bobblehead.
the bobblehead, like
Yeah, yeah.
the dashboard bobblehead, and he's like, "You wouldn't want these getting out there, would you?" Like that scene is so goddamn funny. It's like, how do you get rid of that? But
No,
then you compare it to the other three, and it's
because
like,
all of those franchises have a stinker except for How to Train Your Dragon. You know what I
yeah,
mean? All of them
yeah,
have a movie that's like visibly bad. Like Shrek the Third sucks. Madagascar 3 sucks. Kung Fu Panda 4 sucks, and the third one's
yeah.
okay. Um,
Even
but
Shrek 4 is like,
out of all of the movies that we're talking about, what do you think is the best one? Like,
the best
I
like single
the
movie.
best single movie of every single one of these franchises. I'm gonna say Kung Fu Panda 2.
How? Really? I'm a little
Yeah,
surprised.
followed very closely by Shrek 2.
Yeah, I would say, see, I would say Shrek 2, and then very, very close is How to Train Your Dragon 2.
Oh, I like the first one the best, I think.
I've a lot of people do. I like the second one more. That's, I just feel like there's a lot of emotional weight. That's the one where the mother comes back into the fold and then the father dies. Sorry,
Yeah,
spoilers,
R.I.P.
but it's been out long enough. So yeah, I don't know. Like that one just really is significant to me.
What are people saying like as their answers for this?
Most people, like I said, have been saying How to Train Your Dragon, which is shocking to me just with how good it is.
I mean, do they love Madagascar that much?
It's funny, but I mean, is it like that? Is how funny it is like outweigh the fact that it's just not the same level of storytelling
Dude, and
as
the
the
third one is
others?
ass. The third one is
Yeah,
absolute
they're like in the
ass.
circus.
Any movie that takes place in a circus, I like cartoon, I hate it. Like open season, the first two movies are great. The third one sucks because
I
it's
was
a
gonna
circus
say,
movie.
what's wrong with The Greatest Showman? That's a
No,
circus
yeah,
movie.
that's exactly what I thought of when I said that. I meant
Like that's
animated.
yeah. Well,
All
all
right,
right.
well, yeah, let me ask. I got some questions for you. I'm gonna put you up on the stand, all right?
Yeah, put me on the stand.
And you can't perjure yourself. You can't lie. If you're not a lie, if you lie, you will be sentenced to life in prison. So think about that.
Well,
Okay, okay. So you're taking the stand, and then my first question to you, very, what I think is very easy question. I saw it online also. Fuck, Mary, kill
no,
Debbie, Amber, and Adam Eve from Invincible.
that's fucked up. Uh, okay. I am going to fuck Adam Eve. She's bad.
She's
I don't
bozo.
know. I don't know how to put it. And then this is gonna surprise you. I'm gonna marry Debbie. I mean, that is a wife.
No,
She is committed. Like
that
that
is the
is.
correct answer.
I'm gonna marry Debbie because she is a good wife. She's a good mom. She's strong. She's probably one of the strongest characters in Invincible. Like unironically. And then I hate to say it. I mean, no disrespect to Amber, but I'll kill Amber. I mean, her perspective in her relationship with Mark, it made sense. It's not like it honestly can't be hard to be dating a superhero in that universe. So it's not like anything personal. But Adam Eve is just like a smoke
Yeah,
show,
and she's a
and
great girlfriend too.
yeah, well, yeah, but yeah, I mean, I would pick her for Mary too, but I have to pick one for one. And Debbie is like goaded. I
Do you
can't
think?
not pick Debbie.
Do you think Debbie belongs in the conversation for like top animated moms, like in their
Absolutely.
role as mother?
Absolutely.
I
I
think so
mean,
too.
she stands up for her kids. Like the scene when Sterling K. Brown's character.
Angstrom Levy.
Yes, Angstrom Levy, like when he comes into the Grayson home and he's obviously threatening Oliver and Debbie, and she's standing up for him, like she stands
Yeah,
up for her kids, and she is in a super powered family. She's the only non-powered person, and yet she's maybe the strongest because she's got it up here, and she's got the mental strength. And so I mean, her commitment, like her love and like devotion and loyalty, I don't think that can be matched. I really don't.
also, she has hands, bro. Like when Oliver got tossed by Angstrom and she ran across the room and caught him like a football.
Yeah.
She's got skills, man.
If you told me she had her own powers, I'd believe you.
Yeah, yeah. Get
She's
her
got
on a
mom. She's got
sign
mom
her to the
powers.
NFL. Yeah, she
Got
does.
she's got that Derrick Henry stiff arm.
Yeah. All right, you ready for the next one?
Yeah, lay it on me.
All right. If you could own one fictional item, what would it be? And you have full control over this item. So I'm gonna say if you take like Thor's hammer, you're worthy of Thor. Like you know what I mean?
Mm. I'm gonna say the Infinity Gauntlet. I'll keep it in the Marvel realm. I'll take the Infinity Gauntlet.
Okay.
I assume it comes with the stones. I'm gonna take all right, Infinity Gauntlet from Infinity at the end of Infinity War specifically.
Yeah, but are you strong enough to use that? You might just kill yourself with one use.
Can I really? Am I strong enough to use Mjolnir?
I don't
Like I'm
fucking know.
worthy. You know what I
I don't
mean?
know.
I don't
They'll
know,
rip your
like,
arm off when you try to fight
yeah,
it.
right. So I mean, if I could like do any, are
All
we
right.
assuming that it won't kill me
It
then?
won't
Like, I
kill
don't
you. It
know.
won't kill you.
Yeah, then I'm taking that. It's the most powerful item. I don't know. Marvel's just the first thing I think of. Like,
That's
obviously,
fair.
like a real life lightsaber would be dope,
That
but
would be sick. That's cool. All right. A little personal. When you're having a bad day, Josh, what do you do? What gets you through that bad day?
used to be smoking weed.
Not anymore.
Yeah, damn. I mean, obviously, I love watching movies. I love to listen to music, so something else besides movies, like I love to listen to music. I'm also a big sports guy. I've alluded to on this podcast already, so it's nice to go home, even if it's not my team playing. Sometimes I'll put on any game, baseball, hockey, football, whatever time
Let's
of
go
year it is.
Yankees.
Yeah, well, maybe going to the Cancun early, going to Cancun early. So, but
That's
yeah,
good.
no, I don't know. Just I try to. Sometimes I'll go on walks. I love going on walks around the neighborhood. It's very peaceful and I think very healthy. So yeah, just anything I can do to clear my mind. Of course, like I said, watching movies and TV. Watch a whole bunch of shit.
That's why we're here. Beautiful answer. Beautiful answer. Uh, Spider-Man. Love Spider-Man. What is the best live action Spider-Man suit of all time?
Oh,
He's been through a lot of different suits for each actor. Each actor has like multiple suits.
I really liked Andrew Garfield's suits a lot. I
Which
mean,
one?
honestly, the second movie, and it's not even like that good of a movie. It's not.
The
But
movie sucks.
I liked his suit in TASM 2 a lot.
That is a
It's
fantastic answer.
sexy. It's real sexy.
That's my second favorite. We need to see more of it, but the No Way Home, the final swing.
I would say that I just feel like we haven't seen enough of it yet. It's just there like right at the end. I mean, if we get that in Brand New Day, oh man, we're in for a joy.
But the upgrade between TASM 1 and 2 is insane.
It's
The first one
night and day.
sucks. Yeah,
Night and day.
it really is. That's a great answer. Great answer. What's a movie or a franchise that you watch or have watched that you cannot believe exists? Like it is so ridiculous the fact that this exists and that they're doing certain things in these movies that you're like, what the hell am I watching? How is this real?
I'm gonna throw a curveball. I'm gonna say Jackass.
Really?
I don't
Okay.
understand how they made so many of those movies. That's what I mean.
That's a
Like
great answer.
like I understand the first one, but they made so many movies of these guys just absolutely trying to murder each other in like the funniest ways. And I'm not even like criticizing it. They're entertaining. It's like stupid fun. But yeah, I have no idea. Like the most recent final one only came out a couple years ago, and Johnny Knoxville's in his like 50s. Like how are
Yeah.
they still doing this? It cannot be healthy.
And no, they go through so much, and some of the stuff is disgusting too. It's not even like painful. Some of the stuff they do is so nasty. I'm like, how is this allowed? Like, how and
Yeah.
why are they doing this?
I'm pretty sure there are different like FCC regulations, but I guess Johnny Knoxville is able to, and the Jackass gang is able to
Yeah.
supersede those.
All right, I got a couple more, like three more, and they'll be quick. They'll be rapid fire. What's the last movie that made you cry?
Hmm. You know what? I got pretty teary eyed. We talked about it last week. Val, the documentary
Yeah,
about Val Kilmer, just because it was so personal. I wasn't like bawling, but that definitely really made me emotional.
are you a crier at movies?
Depends on the movie, but
Yeah,
yeah,
you have done it.
I have definitely cried from a movie like Nebraska. I wasn't expecting it. Nebraska, directed by Alexander Payne. That made me like tear up. There's one scene where Bruce Dern's character is visiting his old childhood home, and he's like kind of an old man at the end of his life, and that just really kind of rocked my shit.
Got you.
Yeah,
Damn. If you could only watch one movie franchise for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Back to the Future, because I could watch those over and over again, and I don't think I would ever be bored.
Remember when we watched all three in one day?
You had never seen all of them, right? Or something
No,
like that?
I've only seen the third one like once before that.
Okay, yeah, yeah. We
And
did
then
watch all of them in one day, though.
I love the first two. The third one is like whatever, but
First one's the best, though.
the first one's so good. Uh, what do you think is the most attractive accent for somebody to have?
Hmm. I know you criticize British accents, but the good ones are obviously like really sexy.
Like,
Like the not the ones that are like Tuesday, and like I don't know.
I fucking hate those.
I apologize to any British people
Hello.
out there, but like the ones that are like clear, concise British accents,
I I
they're
love the Game of
sexy.
Thrones types where they're like,
Yeah,
we have to save the king. You know what I
like
mean?
those are good. Like sometimes I wish I had that kind of an accent.
Yeah, those
Like
like
there's a charm to it.
the old like medieval British. I love.
Yeah.
I also Australian accents though. I think they're just better British accents.
No, but I think it's the same deal. It's like a clean accent, not a choppy one, and it's sexy as hell. And a
Yeah.
choppy one, no disrespect meant, but can be difficult to understand sometimes.
I heard I saw this like list online that was like the most attractive accents, and I think Boston was like top 10. Isn't that
No,
insane?
I
That's
don't know.
that's
I don't know.
insane. Out of every accent in the world,
I
you
mean,
guys like Boston? What the hell?
I just feel
What the
like when I
hell?
think accent, I don't think, in the United States, I think like accents around the world.
But even then, like I lost my car keys. Like who like that's like whatever.
You
Uh
know, they call water fountains bubblers in New
where
England.
we lived in New England for multiple years. I
And
don't
I knew
remember.
and I knew people at school who called them bubblers.
Really?
Yep.
Freaks.
Yeah, I don't it's not like soda comes out of there. I don't understand it.
Why? Because a water fountain is also like the giant fountain in like the middle of a garden, so they like don't want to get them confused. But that's just a fountain. That's not like a water
Yeah, I
fountain.
don't you don't call like when you look at fountains in a garden, you don't call them water fountains, you just say it's a fountain.
I call them bubblers. That's what I do. My last question: how does it feel to be a virgin?
I wouldn't know.
Damn, dude. Damn. I tried to snipe you with that one.
Be like, "Oh, me?
Who? This guy?
This guy? I wouldn't
Yeah,
know a
yeah.
thing about it." I don't know why. Tell me, how does it feel?
It feels great. I love it. I love it
Abstinence
actually.
is the key to a long and happy life.
I'm one with God. Dude, I'm looking at myself in this camera right now. I'm so red. Do you
Did
see
you just get
that?
back from the beach or something?
No, I think it's the lighting on my
You look like
skin right now.
you look like the tomato from VeggieTales.
Like if I back up, no, it's still red. I don't know
Nah,
what
you
it
still
is.
look red. I don't
What the
know.
hell?
Wear sunscreen.
I know. What if
All right, let's get the show on the road here.
My bad. I'm distracted. All right, continue.
we we're gonna go through our box office numbers. Okay, so we are filming this on Sunday, April 13th. So these are the box office numbers from the weekend of April 4th through the 6th. You ready? Let me shoot
Ready.
them at you. So in fifth place, in its second weekend of release, is The Woman in the Yard. It made $4.5 million. That's a just below 52% decrease from its first weekend. In fourth place is Snow White in its third weekend, making $5.9 million. That is a 58.5% drop from the previous weekend. Third place, Jack, this made me laugh. Remember last week, The Chosen Last Supper was in the top five box office, that
Yeah.
religious movie? Well, I guess they got cooking on a sequel already, because in third place is The Chosen Last Supper Part 2. So
Wait, what?
yeah, I'm assuming in all seriousness they filmed them back to back and
But
just
they came out back to back?
well, the Beatles biopics we talked about last week, they're doing that at the
Yeah,
same
that's
time.
dumb.
And also Kevin Costner last year was releasing his like he was working on this Western called Horizon, and they made two of them, and they were planning on coming out with one in June and one in August. And then the June one bombed so bad that they canceled the August release of the
That's why you
second
gotta
one.
do that, man. Like, if your movie sucks, you can't have a sequel come out the day after.
So, but hey, it came in third for a movie that was virtually no marketing, no one knows about, at $6.9 million. In second place, in its second weekend, A Working Man, the Jason Statham movie, making $7.3 million. a 52.7% decrease. And finally, take a wild guess what's number one in the box office last weekend.
Chicken Jockey.
Chicken Jockey. It made $162.7 million in its opening weekend. And its budget was $150 million.
So it's clear.
Obviously, that hasn't, like, by now it's cleared for
Yeah.
sure. So yeah, I thought that was, I mean, not surprising, but at this point, I think the movie could clear $1 billion when it's all said and done from its like theatrical run.
Is $1 billion? I mean,
That's a huge benchmark for a movie.
how many movies are in the billion category? Like, not, what is it? Maybe like 20? I don't know.
I don't know off the top of my head. I don't have the all-time numbers.
A Minecraft movie could be like a top 20 movie of all time, like with how much money it's made.
Let's look it up. I have it right here. I have Box Office Mojo. Shout out to them, where we get these numbers from. They're the best. There is, let's see, more than 20, but
Oh, really?
all time 58 movies.
I was way off.
58 movies that have crossed the $1 billion threshold. That's all time though. Like ever.
Yeah.
So if a Minecraft movie crosses $1 billion, and I think it's close to, if not already past 500 million globally now.
And it's just finishing up its second weekend. Right now.
Yeah, as of this recording, and it's just finishing up its second weekend.
That's crazy. That's crazy. So it could potentially be in the top 50 movies of all time with their box office.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at like how many of the top like 10, 15 are Star Wars or Avengers though, and none of these are
Avatar.
Not really. Yeah, none of these are really considered like the greatest of all time, but they make money, So yeah, I could. There is a world where I can see a Minecraft movie crossing $1 billion. I think we're living in it.
And I think if that's the case, it's a definite sequel.
Oh, they're already talking about that, and we're gonna get into some sequel announcements actually in a little bit.
Oh, okay.
But first, speaking of box office, this is gonna bring us to this first big topic of the day, which is the tariff war that's been going on. So, just not to really get into it too much, but basically the United States has been imposing tariffs on countries all around the world, including especially China. And China has retaliated with tariffs of their own, back and forth kind of tariff war. And China said that they were going to limit the amount of Hollywood movies that they import moving forward. And so I was looking into this a little bit because I wanted to know and better understand, so we could talk here on the pod a little bit about it, how this could impact the film industry. So I have some stats. I don't want to like sit here and run down like numbers and bore everybody. Just a couple things. I got these all from Reuters or Deadline. Those are my sources. Apparently, Hollywood films have actually already been declining in the box office in China because they're trying to build up their own film industry there. They make up only 5% of China's domestic box office as it is, and Hollywood studios only receive 25% of the ticket sales that they make in China. And yet, it's funny to say this because I feel like we often see studios, especially like Disney, pander to the Chinese market because obviously their government has certain restrictions on storylines and just topics, I guess, that
even
can
like
be
movie posters.
Right, like certain movie posters are not allowed in their country. So I know like this isn't necessarily your biggest area of expertise, but I'm curious your thoughts around this, how this could impact the summer blockbuster movies, and just what you think this could mean, because China, one other thing that's important to note, China is the second largest global market in terms of box office after the United States. It took over the United States for number one in 2020 because of the COVID-19 pandemic. And then after a couple of years, the United States took it back over. But when you think about how expensive it is for people to go to the movies and how it takes a certain kind of movie, like a Minecraft movie, I guess, to really get a large number of people in the seats, you kind of look at the money that movies can make in the Chinese market and say, well, that's pretty important. That's an important return on investment to be able to fund future films. So the fact that China is looking to limit that as a result of this trade war, what are your thoughts?
So I have some quotes from ABC News just about what they said specifically. Apparently, China's National Film Administration said it will follow market rules, respect audiences' choice, but moderately reduce the number of American films imported. And they also said that the United States' abuse of tariffs on China will inevitably further reduce the domestic audience's favorability towards American films. So yeah, they're going to lower the numbers of the American films imported to China. Um, I think when we talk about box office numbers, there's a lot of the times where we're like, oh, a movie made this much money, it made this much, it made this much, but it's not released in China yet. Let's wait. Because China is where so much of the money comes from, and these film studios do pander to China. And I mean, did you hear about Neza 2? Do you know that
Yeah.
movie?
Yeah, yeah,
Neza
yeah.
2 made like $1.9 billion, and it's a Chinese like original film, and it makes pretty much $2 billion. I mean, China is where the money is at. I mean, obviously America, but China is where the money's at if you're going outside America. I think this is going to hurt a lot of movies. I think it could even hurt a lot of I don't know if the movies or the studios are going to be as motivated to do what they would normally do. I don't know if it's in advertising or in their production quality. I just feel like if they're guaranteed they're not going to make as much money as they should be, there may be a hesitancy to actually try. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I think when you're guaranteed a lot less money than you normally would have, you're not going to be as motivated to make the movie. I don't know.
You're gonna. I mean, you'll. It's like a cause and effect. So if they have less money coming in, they're gonna have to start cutting corners in their production. To save money because they're
Exactly.
worried about their return. Listen to this. According to Deadline, like an example, because they were saying, well, some films they get only a small percentage of their total box office numbers from the Chinese market, but some really rely on it. Alien Romulus made $110 million in China when it came out last summer. That was 30% of its entire global box office from China alone.
It's
That
such a good movie too.
it's such a good movie, and
It's great.
that elevated Romulus from like a fairly successful film from a financial standpoint to a very successful film from a financial standpoint. So I feel like movies are made to be seen by everybody, and it's obviously frustrating when politics and outside factors kind of play a role in who gets to see what gets to get made. I know we've had similar conversations about it before, but it's cause for concern. So you think about this summer's box office and this summer's blockbuster lineup. I know Thunderbolts is kind of the next big blockbuster coming out. They did grant a release in China for Thunderbolts, but other movies
What
like
about Fantastic Four? That's 2 months later.
Fantastic Four and Jurassic Park, they're still up in the air if they're going to even get a Chinese release. And it's interesting. So you think about the new Jurassic World movie coming out starring Scarlett Johansson in July. Jurassic World Dominion made $157 million in China. Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom made 261 million, and the first Jurassic World made $228 million, all in China. So if the new Jurassic movie doesn't get a Chinese release, it can really, really impact negatively its box office run.
This could be a franchise killer. I mean, Jurassic Park and Jurassic World already is a franchise that a lot of people are like, just let it die. I really hope this new one is good. But if this movie doesn't make the money that they want, this could be the last Jurassic World movie. You know what I mean? Like, if you're already kind of a dying franchise or franchise that people are kind of already over, and you don't make the money you're expecting, that would suck because I love those movies.
Yeah, I mean, it's sad, because money should not dictate if a film is a good movie. But for studios where they have to run a business and make decisions, it's the whole thing for them. It's unfortunate, from an artistic standpoint, because there's so much that matters more than the return on investment. But the reality is that it's a business and people have to make money. And yeah, if these films aren't going to bring in enough money, they're not going to want to keep funding it. And here's one more example. Avatar: The Way of Water came out 2 years ago. It was the second highest grossing film that year in China, making 200 or no, in China, making $245 million of its over like however many billions it made alone in China. And there's another Avatar movie coming out at the end of this year. And those movies kind of like their whole thing is that they make so much money.
That's their thing. Yeah, that's
And
totally
I don't doubt that the new Avatar movie will still make a lot of money, but if this trade war is still going on in December and it impacts the release of Avatar, I think it's Fire and Ash, Avatar, the new Avatar movie in China, it could seriously hurt its total numbers. And people, they're not going to know the context. They're not like, when they look back at this, they're not going to say, oh, well, there was this going on politically. Right. There was this going on
20 years from now.
Yeah. They're just going to see the numbers and they're going to say it was a failure or whatever. It was mildly successful, whatever they say. But it's just unfortunate. And another thing is that obviously you don't want people to end up losing jobs. Like Donald Trump's whole thing, his whole prerogative is to bring more jobs into the United States, whether that be through manufacturing or whatever. And that's great. But, I don't think you're really thinking about, well, if you have these issues with tariffs with China, and then they stop importing American-made films, and now American productions are starting to slow down, people who work on the productions could be out of a job or struggling to find work. And then you're having the adverse effect of what the whole point of doing these tariffs is in the first place, or what you expect out of them, but I'm not going to get into that.
Yeah, it's just going to hurt. This is going to hurt. I mean, movies are going to make less money, studios are going to make less money, and you're going to get
Nobody wins.
It's the snake eating its own tail. It's the chicken or the egg. It's movies are going to make less money, so studios are going to make worse movies, and movies are going to make less money and studios are gonna, if you don't have the money to make a good movie, you're not going to make a good movie, and if you don't make a good movie, you're probably not going to make as much money, but you're not going to make as much money anyway because of the tariffs. So it's a whole thing that's just going to really hurt the industry. And it sucks. I mean, I'm surprised that Fantastic Four didn't get the green light. I know it's a couple more months out.
Not yet. I mean, it could.
But if Disney can secure that, because I think if I were Disney, I would expect Fantastic Four to be their moneymaker over.
Because you look at Disney, I agree with that. But you look at Disney, and they do pander a lot to China, and like sometimes they may be too much to the point where there's certain like LGBTQ storylines that people really want to see within characters, within movies, in like animated films, Pixar, what have you, and they kind of hold them back a little bit because otherwise China won't let them release it in their country, and they prefer the money. So,
wasn't it was just like, I think it was Captain America Brave New World that Disney's Chinese poster was Sam Wilson, but he had his mask on because they
really
something about China not wanting like a black lead to be the poster child of a movie. I'm pretty sure that was that movie. I'm not going to 100% say that was true, but I'm pretty sure the Sam Wilson in the Chinese poster had his Falcon mask on for Captain America Brave New World. And I've heard speculation that was the reason. I don't know if that's true, but I think it would be. I don't know.
That's unfortunate. But you know what? Let's keep the ball rolling here talking about good movies. One movie that I really enjoy is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And this is something we didn't get to last week. And everyone thought that this was an April Fool's joke, but it's not. It's true.
Yeah.
We are getting a sequel to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah.
This is really interesting. So I looked into this a little bit. It looks like the script evolved from The Movie Critic, which Quentin Tarantino was lining up to be his final movie. the 10th and final film, as he says. The story never really got off the ground. He said it evolved in different ways. It ended up just becoming Once Upon a Time in Hollywood 2. Brad Pitt is expected to reprise his role as Cliff Booth. David Fincher expected to direct. Very, very surprising announcement.
What a great trio of people to have working on a movie is Tarantino, Pitt, and David Fincher. Like,
do you have any,
what?
I was going to say, do you have any kind of reservations about this, though?
If Tarantino's writing, which is what I was just going to ask you, I'm pretty sure he's writing it, right?
Oh, he writes everything.
He's writing it. Fincher is a fantastic director. And I think Brad Pitt really likes this character from what I remember from his interviews. I don't think he'd do anything to jeopardize like this character specifically. And he was my favorite part of the original. What was his name?
Cliff Booth.
Cliff Booth. When he fought Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
Like that was so funny. And my friend used to live in LA and I went to visit him and like I loved the atmosphere. I loved just the vibe LA gave, and watching this movie brought me back to that. And it felt like I was like this is like the epitome of what movies should be. Like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I watched it last year for the first time. I loved it so much. It just gave like old school Hollywood vibes. And a second one, I don't know what the story would be, but I'm down.
It reportedly takes place in 1977. So that's like 8 years after the first one, 9 years after.
I'm surprised Cliff Booth is still alive.
Yeah, me too. Hey, he's been through the ringer all right.
Yeah.
It's one of these things where they didn't need to make a sequel. In fact, Tarantino, the way it's being pitched is it's not so much a direct sequel, rather just another story in the universe. But the thing is I don't know, same actor, same character, same writer.
Yeah. It's probably not going to be called Once Upon a Time in Hollywood 2, but we know it's kind of a sequel.
It was originally the movie critic, so maybe it is going to be Once Upon a Time in Hollywood 2. I don't know. Oh. You're right. Look, and not only are Brad Pitt and David Fincher both enormously talented, but we've seen the two of them work together in some of the most iconic films all time. The two of them were paired up in Fight Club, and the two of them were paired up in Seven. And those two movies are honestly two of my more favorite movies that I've ever seen. I love them, especially Seven. I mean, what an incredible thriller. So, the idea of them teaming up together again is exciting, and I am looking forward to it. And look, I don't doubt Tarantino and his writing. If there's a story to be told, then I want to hear it from him. But obviously people are going to look at this and say, well, what if he had directed it? What is this going to look like? Is Leonardo DiCaprio going to return as Rick Dalton? Because that hasn't been reported or confirmed yet. Yeah. I doubt it too. So what's it going to, I mean, that dynamic was such a central part of the first film.
Well, my question,
so what's it going to look like now?
My question, so the first one was historical fiction.
Yes.
You take the Manson murders, Sharon Tate, and you change history. And people watching this I probably don't know that I am something of a historian myself. And
good meme.
I'm fine with historical fiction if you do it tastefully and you recognize the truth and things that shouldn't be bent aren't bent. You could take minor details and change them, and you can create a whole fictional thing of major details and change them as long as you recognize that this is fiction. You don't try to pull it off as truth, and that's what Tarantino does in the first movie. He doesn't try to say this is what happened. He pretty openly admits that this is an alternate universe where the Manson murders didn't happen the way they did historically. I'm just wondering what is going to be. I'm assuming the second one is going to have some sort of main historical event that is altered. Maybe not. Maybe that's just me thinking he'd follow the formula of the first one. But that's where I would assume the second one would go, is that there is something that will be different in this universe that's different to what happened in our world historically.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Obviously, a lot of the first one was a mixture of like giving Sharon Tate kind of the justice that she never got, that she always deserved from what happened to her, unfortunately, and kind of Tarantino's just idealized Hollywood. I almost feel like he wanted that to be his last movie because
It would have been a great final
it
send
would have
off.
been a great send off. I don't even like that he has the whole like 10 movie rule because I feel like he's putting a lot of pressure on himself to get like the perfect script, the right film for him to go off on. You see like Martin Scorsese and some of the other all-time greats who work into their 80s and still make really meaningful work. And he's worried about that. Sometimes I think to a fault, like he gets too into his head about it,
I
putting
agree.
pressure on himself. Like just make movies. You have a good story to tell, you want to direct it, do it. You
Can we also
know?
recognize that he counts Kill Bill 1 and 2 as the same movie, which is kind of cheating?
Yeah, it's not the same movie.
It's kind of cheating, right?
And he's a little bit, and he's written like other screenplays that weren't directed by him, and I get that he's not going to count that. But it's like, so is his plan is because so he's passing this one off to Fincher. So does that mean it doesn't count towards the 10 when he directs it, and then when he does direct, is he going to just continue writing screenplays and pass them off to other filmmakers? Why not do it yourself?
Yeah, and he's very, I don't want to say like pretentious, but he is very high and mighty about his particular work. Like he's a perfectionist is that's what I mean.
And rightfully so. I mean,
His
the body of work speaks for itself.
Exactly, but like him passing it off, does that kind of indicate that he doesn't think it's worthy of being his final film?
I don't know. I mean, like I said, it evolved from what the movie critic was supposed to be. And we're never going to see what that film was supposed to look like. I don't even really remember many of the details about it, but that was going to be his final send off. And now, it kind of just evolved into just something else. So, I don't know.
Like if he loved this movie and loved the script, wouldn't he want to be like, all right, this is good, this is great, this will be my favorite my final movie?
But Tarantino doesn't really do sequels. And again, I mean, even Kill Bill, like it's two movies, but he considers it just two halves of one movie. So the fact that he wrote he's calling a follow up to the first, but it's a sequel. Let's call it what it is.
Yeah, come on,
You know,
Tarantino. Come on.
like, I don't know. Like, is he changing his opinion on things? I mean, remember, I don't know if you knew this, at one point he was going to do a Star Trek film.
I did not know that. What?
A Star Trek film.
When though? Like what year?
I don't remember. Like, this was a few years ago now that was being reported on.
Because J.J. Abrams got the ones in like 2009 or whatever that was, maybe like 2015. Remember
Yeah,
those movies?
yeah, but I think this was after. Like, this was more recent than those movies.
Oh, okay. Oh, what? That would have been crazy.
It would have been his first time working in an IP that wasn't created by himself.
I don't know how I would feel about that. I don't know. It would have been cool.
Couple of other sequel announcements really, really quickly. Beetlejuice 3, and then, of course, Minecraft 2. Kind of proof of where Warner Bros. Head is at in terms of their IPs and their decisions.
They had to make Beetlejuice 3 just so they could call it Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. Like,
Yeah,
you
I was
can't-
assuming that was coming.
Right, that has to be it. Like, you can't call the second one Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, and then not the third one, Not have a third one.
No, you can't do that. And then, of course, Minecraft 2,
Yeah,
we
moneymaker.
alluded at the beginning, it's making all this money. They're probably going to do stuff with the Ender Dragon in that one now, right? But, like...
Yeah, I mean, but there's no way that the original cast besides Steve, Jack Black, comes back, right?
Maybe
Wait,
Jason
they're
Momoa.
all- I forgot they're all at the end, spoilers for a Minecraft movie, at the end they're all in the regular universe.
Yeah, but they're obviously going to go back
Yeah, they have
if
to.
there's a sequel. I don't know. Interesting. All right. Well, just wanted to mention those. Let's get
Yeah.
into Robert Pattinson. So Robert
Yes.
Pattinson, there was a report recently that he's in talks to star in Dune 3, Dune Messiah. And obviously he also has The Odyssey coming up. Robert Pattinson, I think, is one of like the most talented, most unique actors working today, and he's really had quite an impressive filmography recently, like Mickey 17. A few years ago, he was in a movie called Good Time. That was
heard
really
that was
good.
great.
That was really good. I highly recommend it.
That's like
But
Pete Davidson's favorite movie, he said on the.
is it?
on,
That
like,
makes a
Jimmy
lot
Fallon.
of sense. That makes a
Yeah.
lot of sense. But he had The Boy and the Heron, The Lighthouse. Tenet. He's been working with a lot of really good directors and doing a lot of great stuff. And now he's going to be in the Odyssey, potentially in Dune 3, which would be just such a huge win for
That
film
would be great.
lovers. To have him join like Timmy and Zendaya and Florence Pugh and Anya Taylor-Joy, like just all like the big young Hollywood stars in
Dude,
one umbrella.
if he gets in Dune 3 and Dune 3 is as good as Dune 2, do you think that would solidify it as the greatest movie trilogy of all time?
It'd be in the conversation, and for sure, it would be like this generation's Star Wars or Lord of the Rings or whatever you want to, spin it as. But yeah, I think if they're able to cap off Dune Messiah, then no doubt in my mind, one of the greatest film trilogies of all time. And you get like some of the best actors of our time working in these movies. Like to add a Robert Pattinson to an already ginormously stacked cast
Huge win.
as potentially the villain of that movie, or one of the villains of that movie. And you think about like you got Christopher Walken who plays the Emperor. You have Jason Momoa as Duncan Idaho. You have Josh Brolin
Such a
in that
dumb
movie.
name.
Dude, it's a
Duncan,
good.
Idaho.
Come on. Luke Skywalker is a dumb name when you really
That's
think
cool
about it.
though. It's cool.
That's cool, but Duncan Idaho isn't.
Yeah.
Do they even have Dunkin' Donuts in Idaho?
They don't even. Oh, in Idaho? I don't. I'm sure. What? I think you're gonna
Well,
say
but
they
they
have
don't.
Dunkin' Donuts in Dune.
Well, no, they don't have Dunkin' Donut. Like it's
they
like
have
you're on
Starbucks.
Arrakis, and it's just like, yeah, man. Me and the Fremen were stopping for like an iced latte before we.
Yeah, me and the Lisan Al Gaib. We went and we got some.
But
some
but
donuts.
in Washington State, there's no Dunkin' Donuts in the whole state
That's a shame.
because of Starbucks.
Well, there's
That's
what's that
why I
other place
asked.
called? The place in like Canada that everyone has.
Tim Hortons.
Tim Hortons is like a big one.
Yeah. So okay, but this raises obviously a lot of question marks that were already there, but even more question marks around the Batman 2. Because supposedly this won't interrupt the filming schedule because Robert Pattinson is I think in Greece or wherever they are filming the Odyssey right now. Dune Messiah is supposed to film this summer, and they say the Batman 2 is supposed to film this fall and winter. They don't even have a script locked down yet.
We're not getting that movie for so long, and it's so annoying.
I had a friend who brought up like the Silver Surfer meme, where it's like Silver Surfer sitting on a planet, like or on a moon, looking
Yeah.
at all the stars, and it's like the Batman 2 to film in 23 coming out in 24, and then the Batman 2 to film in 24 come out in 25, and then the Batman 2 to film in 25 come out in 26. It's like now the film is supposed to come out in 27, and you see, I mean, Pattinson maybe signing on to do Dune 3. You see Colin Farrell signed on to replace Daniel Craig and Luca Guadagnino's Sergeant Rock with the new DCU.
Yeah.
So you see these actors who are supposed to be a part of the Batman 2 signing on to other projects, and now there's still no script locked down, and you just have to start wondering, are they going to eventually just quietly cancel it?
Do you think that hype, like what is it? 2021 was the Batman, right?
Yeah, 2021.
If we
4
get
years
this
ago.
movie 6 or 7 years after the first one came out, do you think that much of a time difference kills the hype or adds more hype to a movie?
It depends. I mean, I think, I'm all for giving artists and filmmakers and everybody the proper amount of time to make the movie. But after a while, people do move on.
You stop caring.
You just stop caring. Like it gets to the point where you're like, because I sit here and I hear like I want the Batman 2, but now I'm hearing Pattinson in the Odyssey, Pattinson and potentially in Dune Messiah. That's exciting stuff, and we know it's happening. Production's ramped up, and we get to be excited about it. We want to be excited for the Batman 2, but we're not getting anything. We got the Penguin, and it was great, but even like Warner Bros. Head of television said it's unlikely we even get a second season of that, which is fine. But
I wonder if, like, James Gunn taking over the DCU And this whole switch up of who's in charge, I wonder if Warner Brothers and all these problems with the Batman, if they're just going to cancel it and be like, because James Gunn already admitted that he's going to get a different Batman for his universe. Like they already have the Batman movie, what's it called? I don't even remember what it's
I
called.
think it was like Brave and the Bold or something.
The Brave and the Bold is going to be the new DCU Batman movie, and they're looking for actors. They might have cast already, but nothing's announced. At this point, with all these problems, they might just say, "Screw it, shelf the Batman 2, and we're going to have our own new Batman in the next few years anyway." I don't know. I mean, they might just be like,
well, they
"What's the
never
point
had
of-"
plans to put Pattinson in the DCU.
I know, but with all these problems, they might just be like, "It's not worth it to have such a troubled Batman when we already have a new one coming out." They might just think it's not worth it.
It's possible, but I mean, I think the director or like the planned director for Brave and Bold is Andy Muschietti, who did The Flash.
Thought that was getting switched up. I heard. I don't know.
Was it? Was
I
it getting
hope so.
switched up? I mean, yeah, I don't know if a lot of people have faith in him after The Flash.
I don't. And Matt Reeves is like the perfect director. The Batman was great, but he also directed 2 of the Planet of the Apes movies, the 2 best ones.
Yeah.
Dawn of the Planet
Dawn
of
and
the Apes
War.
and War for the Planet of the Apes, and those movies are so good. Like I cannot recommend those movies enough, and people disregard them because they're like, "Oh, talking monkeys." No, watch those movies. Planet of the Apes movies are so good.
As good as the Batman is, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes is probably his best movie to this
It's
point.
my favorite of all the ones I've seen.
You know what, too, I will say about the Batman is that if we never get a sequel, the movie does stand on its own. Like, it doesn't necessarily it doesn't leave you with a big cliffhanger where it's like, we need to know what happens next.
Yeah, especially with the Penguin too, like filling out what really happened to Gotham at the end.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we get to kind of know a bit of what happened to Gotham, how they move on. And meanwhile, we see, like, Robert Pattinson's Batman and his character arc in that singular movie.
Yeah.
Going from, the way his perspective of what it means to protect the city and be a hero. And I just think that if it ends up getting left at that, which is not ideal, but if it does, then it works on its own. And it is what it is.
Yeah, and that I love how smart that was to like not directly set up a sequel like that. Like I ended on a cliffhanger because that would have pissed off so many people.
And you know what, though? I mean, Robert Pattinson doesn't even need it because, like we've detailed, his career, him and Kristen Stewart post Twilight have honestly had some of the most impressive careers and some really, really cool projects. Like Kristen Stewart, I know she's not been maybe as big as Pattinson, where Pattinson had, Mickey 17 and The Boy and the Heron, and he's working with Christopher Nolan. Like Kristen Stewart, she was in Spencer, where she played Princess Diana. That was fantastic. She was in a Christmas movie on Hulu called Happiest Season. That's really underrated. Highly recommend. Yeah. Like she's carving out a really decent career for herself too. So props to the Twilight actors.
Poor Taylor Lautner. Poor Taylor Lautner. What are you up to these days?
He's going to watch Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson's movies. He's waiting online.
He's going to A-lister.
Well, maybe not in China, but he can see them here in the United States.
Damn, dude.
Yeah. So I mean, props to them.
It's just a mess. It's a mess, and I know there's all this behind the scenes stuff that we don't know about because not everything gets released to the public, of course. But I don't know. I don't think any of us can actually predict what's going to happen. Like either the movie gets doomed or it gets a boom or a doom. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know.
Well, all right, Jack. I know there's something you wanted to talk about briefly here, which is Nintendo World. So why don't we get into that a little bit?
Dude, thanks for reminding me because I would have totally forgot about that. So Universal Florida now has. Do you know anything about this?
No.
I'm so excited to tell you about this because this. First of all, okay, it's so cool. So they have Nintendo World in Universal Florida now. It just came out this year, and what's it called Epic Universe. Epic Universe. Here are the different areas in Epic Universe. There is the Celestial Park. There's the Dark Universe. There's the Isle of Berk, the Ministry of Magic, and Super Nintendo World. The rides they have at the Celestial Park, they have Constellation Carousel and Starfall Racers. No one really cares about those. The Dark Universe, they have The Curse of the Werewolf and Monsters Unchained: The Frankenstein Experiment. I heard those are pretty good. Then at Isle of Berk, of course, from How to Train Your Dragon, they have Dragon Racers Rally, Fire Drill, and Hiccup's Wing Gliders. Hiccup's Wing Gliders is a roller coaster, and I heard it's awesome. And the Ministry of Magic is probably the coolest thing they have. They have a ride called the Battle of the Ministry of Magic from Harry Potter, and they built a 2-scale Ministry of Magic. So when you're waiting online, you're inside the Ministry of Magic, and it is exactly 2-scale. Do you remember
Wow.
that from I think it's the 5th movie?
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, it's like you're in there. They built, and I know Orlando has built, or Universal in Orlando has built like the Hogwarts castle and everything, and it is all really cool looking. The inside's awesome, but this is like
When is that supposed to
insane.
come out?
It's out.
Okay,
It,
wow.
it like recently came out, and
Wow.
it is 2-scale Ministry of Magic. The paintings on the walls have faces, and they talk and they move. And in the movie, when you go to the Ministry of Magic, there's like a glowing green entrance that you come through, and when you walk online, like green smoke comes out the top. It's really fucking cool. And then the last thing is Super Nintendo World, which has Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge, Donkey Kong Minecart Madness, and then Yoshi's Adventure. It's like you're playing Mario Kart, but it's a roller coaster. It's so cool. And the Donkey Kong one, they put you on, like, roller coasters are attached on the bottom, of course, right? They're on the track. But the way this one works is that you're on the track, but there's something on the side of it that lifts your cart off the track. So it looks like you're jumping. So like your
This is
cart,
like this is like
what?
some Final Destination shit. Like
Yeah,
this
dude,
is not gonna end well.
your cart gets lifted. It looks like it's going off a ramp and it gets lifted off the track, but it's not really attached to the track in the first place. It's attached to like a side thing
Yeah,
that lifts
yeah.
you. But the way you look at it, if you're looking from the outside, it looks like your cart is like bouncing over hills and like flying in the air. It's really cool. So I'm excited to go. I've never been. No, I've been. Obviously I haven't been to this new place, and I haven't
We
been
should
in a
go.
while.
Let's hit it up. Let's hit
I
it
would
up.
love to. Have you ever been to Universal,
No.
dude? Have you? So you've never seen the Hogwarts
Well,
rides and everything,
not in person, but I've
but you've seen it online.
Yeah, yeah.
That's something that I'm just really excited about. I'm not like a Disney adult, like like
But that
we.
doesn't mean you don't have to be a Disney adult to still enjoy theme parks.
No, exactly. This stuff seems cool, just because the amount of effort they put into it. Like the Isle of Berk looks like you're with the Vikings. Like they have robot not hiccups, robot toothlesses, like that actually are like to scale, like a baby
Yeah,
toothless,
that's cool.
like his kids from the movie, and
That's
they move around and they're like dogs and they're like
Yeah.
real. So I just wanted to mention that for anyone who doesn't know about that stuff. Universal Orlando came out with all these different worlds. If you're into Harry Potter, if you're into Super Mario, Monsters, or How to Train Your Dragon, you should definitely go check that out. I'm gonna hopefully be down there in Florida one day. Probably not anytime soon because it's money. But
Yeah.
eventually, maybe if this podcast does well enough, we'll
Yeah, give us
let's-
the money and we'll go and we'll do a live episode down there.
make sure you hit that like and subscribe
Anyone
and
wants
follow
to-
button, and
Anyone
we'll
wants to sponsor, we'll
share with your friends, and we'll go
we'll
down
do
there.
that.
Yeah.
I'm going to punt my White Lotus review quickly to next week for the sake of time. So next week, just a heads up for everyone, next week's episode is going to primarily be us reviewing stuff. A lot of Daredevil, and we're also going to review Sinners. That's going to be very exciting. So I'll just attach the White Lotus review to the beginning of the episode before we get into everything else.
Yeah,
Just-
something I wanted to
go ahead.
mention, like this episode is really quick. I just thought like since it's new news, we should just mention it for like 2 minutes because there's no point in mentioning it next week. Is the new Wes Anderson movie?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's new, announced. The trailer came out. It's called The Phoenician Scheme. It's coming out May 30th. It stars Scarlett Johansson, Benicio del Toro, Bill Murray, Tom Hanks, Michael Cera, and it looks really good. I mean, I haven't seen a lot of Wes Anderson movies. I've only seen Fantastic Mr. Fox, but I'm gonna go see this one for sure in theaters. I know
That's
you saw
really
that.
the one that you've seen.
Yeah, I've seen that one. What do you
the
think?
The Phoenician Scheme, that's what it's called, right? The Phoenician Scheme.
Phoenician Scheme.
It was announced as part of like the Cannes Film Festival lineup. So obviously, like a lot of films that end up like that's where Nora started. So like where a lot of films that end up part of the awards circuit, they start and film festivals, and the Cannes Film Festival is one of the biggest ones. So that movie's initial screening, I know, is going to be at the Cannes Film Festival. So that's definitely. I mean, we're a long ways away from Oscar season, but that is definitely where to keep an eye on where potential contenders for the new season of awards start out. So
Okay.
yeah, that looks like it's going to be really cool. It's funny, Benicio del Toro stars in that. He also is starring in Paul Thomas Anderson's new film, One Battle After Another, the one with
With Leo, right?
DiCaprio. So
Yeah.
he's got two Anderson movies, Wes Anderson and Paul Thomas Anderson in the same year. So I
Yeah.
just thought that
I'm
that
ex-
was kind of funny.
I'm excited. I just want to mention that quick before we wrap up.
Yeah, that's huge. Well, no, we still so we did promise you guys one special segment, and so we want to do this. I know this is running a little long, but that's why we're punting White Lotus, because this is important. But I will say that the White Lotus season, I do want to talk a little bit about. Jack, you should watch that show. It's really good.
I know. I gotta
I,
get
I know
on
you
it.
haven't seen it, but anyway, so. We're recording this on Sunday, April 13th. A week ago today, Alex Ovechkin of the Washington Capitals in the NHL scored his 895th goal. In That broke Wayne Gretzky's all-time record for the most goals scored in hockey history, making him the greatest goal scorer of all time. Alex Ovechkin, a lot of people who are hockey fans, anyone listening that watches hockey, knows that this guy is just an absolute unit. And to break Wayne Gretzky's goal record is obviously a very big deal that transcends just the sport of hockey. So, here on the Box Office Dynasty podcast, we decided a good way to kind of pay tribute to OV and this monumental achievement is we are going to rank our top 5 favorite sports movies of all time. And let me just say, this was not easy
It
to
was
do.
hard.
This was very hard, harder than I thought it was going to be.
I have a
So
feeling you're either gonna love or hate my list. I don't know how you're gonna feel about it.
that's what you've been saying. So I'm not really sure what to expect from your list. How do we want to do this? Go back and forth, 5, 5, 4, 4, 3, 3, or do we just want to do our lists?
I think we each do our lists and then we don't discuss until we're both done, and then we can either argue or agree or do whatever we're gonna do about it.
Okay.
Do you want to go first? Or do you want me to go first?
You go first, my friend. I
Okay,
want
I
to
have
hear
a
this
couple honorable
list.
mentions. Favorite sports movies of all time. My honorable mentions, I start with The Karate Kid. I think I don't even need to say anything about that. Start with The Karate Kid. Then I have Goon. Goon is that hockey movie where Sean William Scott beats the shit
You
out
ever
of
seen the
everybody.
sequel?
No, I've never seen the sequel.
Yeah. Okay.
Also, terrible name, Goon. Come on, bro.
No.
He's
Well,
he's gooning.
no. That's just brain rot 2025 TikTok culture. The
No, I
reality
know.
is that that's what a hockey player of his type was called. Was a goon.
Really?
Yeah, they'd go there. His whole job is just go around and beat people, hit people, fight them. That's what a goon was before it
Alright,
was
alright.
what it is now.
Well, now, and my last honorable mention is The Blind Side with Sandra Bullock. So in fifth place, I have Space Jam.
The Michael Jordan one or the
My,
LeBron
yeah,
James?
Michael Jordan one. Yeah, no, Space Jam. That's a basketball movie. I love it. You can't go wrong with Space Jam. The first one is actually good, like genuinely good. In fourth place, I have 42. Jackie Robinson, Chadwick Boseman, Harrison Ford. Great. Can't go wrong with that. Third place, I have Rocky. I mean, again, nothing to say about that. A lot of mine are like classics because I haven't seen a lot of sports movies. Clearly. Number 2, you might throw a flag on this on the field. I'm gonna go with Cars.
It was in my consideration when I had like a whole list. I was trying to figure out my 5. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a sports movie,
Okay, number 2, I have Cars, just because that's like if the baseball was alive, it'd still be a
but
sports movie.
above Rocky.
Yeah, dude, Cars is awesome. And my favorite sports movie of all time is The Sandlot. The Sandlot. I grew up on The Sandlot. James Earl Jones, whatever the rest of the cast names are.
The Great Bambino.
You're killing me, Smalls. Like I had a T-shirt that said "You're killing me, Smalls." Like The Sandlot is awesome. The one scene where they all throw up at the at the fair because they have the chewing tobacco
Yeah.
sting. And that one kid with the glasses, like hitting on the lifeguard. You remember that when he like fakes that he's dying and she has to give him mouth to mouth? Raised me. That movie raised me.
That
So
is
that's
such a
my
good
top
movie.
5. I have. Let me just go through it one more time. My top 5 is Space Jam, 42, Rocky, Cars, and The Sandlot.
I can't believe Cars is above Rocky.
Bro, ka-chow.
I know. Wow. Okay. So my turn. I'll go real quick here. I have a lot of honorable mentions because this was so difficult
Okay.
for me. I was sitting up like late last night, just like genuinely scratching my head about this. So I'll run through the honorable mention list. Challengers. I know a lot of people don't think of that as a sports. It's a sports movie.
It's a
Tennis.
sports movie.
Miracle. Great movie. The hockey movie. About the Miracle on Ice in 1980 U.S. Olympic team. The Sandlot was in my honorable mentions. A League of Their Own, another baseball movie with Tom Hanks. Donna's in that. 42 is in my honorable mentions.
Okay.
And Remember the Titans. Those
All
are
right,
my honorable mentions.
Those are good. I like those.
So number 5 is one that I actually was talking about on the pod last week, The Pride of the Yankees. That's a fantastic sports movie, a classic. Number 4, can't believe this wasn't anywhere near your list, is Moneyball.
I've never seen it.
You got to see Moneyball.
I've never seen it. I know.
Yeah, that movie is great. Great movie based on the Oakland days. Oh, not Oakland anymore. R.I.P. Number 3, Raging Bull. Raging Bull, Martin Scorsese. It's a boxing movie with Robert De Niro, and that is a really good movie. Number 2, actually, well, you'll see a common theme with the rest of these. Number 2, $1 Million Baby, Clint Eastwood, starring, Clint Eastwood, Hilary Swank, Morgan Freeman. That movie, we were talking earlier on the pod about movies that make you cry. That's one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really touching story about like redemption and just like dreams and goals and you know, really just it's tragic, and there's nothing more to say. If you haven't seen it, you got to see it. And number 1 is Rocky. And that's why I said you're going to see a common theme, because my top 3 are actually all boxing movies, but they're just really good. Rocky is the best sports movie of all time, hands down. It is just such an iconic film. So many iconic moments just like that take you out of your feet. It's so exciting. It's got the adrenaline of being at an actual sporting event. And I would argue that boxing movies are more entertaining than real boxing. And I don't mean disrespect to real boxers, because it can be entertaining. But there is something like these top 3 movies specifically, Rocky, $1 Million Baby, and Raging Bull. There's something about them that's just this real adrenaline and excitement and gets you up close in the ring, seeing kind of these boxing matches in a way that a real boxing match doesn't. You don't get that context, that backstory, and that real like emotional like gut punch, and I think you get that in Rocky, in $1 Million Baby, and in Raging Bull. And there are 3 different kinds of stories within the boxing universe, but 3 fantastic ones. So like you did, I'll run down my list one more time from 5 to 1. Pride of the Yankees, Moneyball, Raging Bull, $1 Million Baby, and Rocky. All great movies.
That's crazy. I've only seen one movie on your list.
Rocky?
Yeah, I've seen Rocky. I saw a lot of your honorable mentions. Where's Space Jam?
No, come on.
Dude, Space Jam's awesome.
Yeah, but it's not one of the greatest sports movies ever made. It's a fun movie. You know what I actually just realized just now on the pod that I should have put? The Big Lebowski, I guess, is in a way a
I've also
sports
never
movie.
See, sports movies are not my thing. So I've never seen that either.
It's like Challengers, I would say, is a little more direct sports-wise because of the way it uses tennis as like a volley between the 3 central characters and their relationship dynamics. But The Big Lebowski, in a way, is a bowling movie, and in many ways, it's a bowling movie, right? You know, so
another honorable mention.
That's a really great movie.
I have is Blades of Glory.
I've never seen Blades of Glory.
I just watched it the first time a couple weeks ago. Blades of Glory.
I've never seen it.
Well, you should watch it. Will Ferrell is so funny in that. And I think that would be on my honorable mentions too. But you had a good list. I mean, Rocky at number 1, I can't argue with that. The other 4 I haven't seen, so I can't argue with those either.
I'm not surprised yet you haven't seen any of them but Moneyball. I'm a little surprised you haven't seen Moneyball.
I've always wanted to. I mean, it's on Netflix, I think. Like
Last time I checked, it was on
I
Netflix.
always see it and I'm like, I'll watch that tonight, and then I just end up watching something else.
Watch it tonight.
Yeah,
And then
no,
you'll
well,
say you will when
tonight
you watch them.
when we get to Seesaw, because we'll probably finish up with Seesaw today.
Of
I'll
course.
tell you what I'm watching tonight.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, that's a good segue then.
Yeah.
So, well, I'll do Seesaw first. If you do, you have anything else you want to say about sports movies?
Yeah. Cars is awesome, and Space Jam is awesome, and The Sandlot is the greatest sports movie of all time.
Well, and I will just add one more time, congratulations to Alex Ovechkin on breaking Wayne Gretzky's record. It's why I wanted to do this segment this week. So, congrats to him. That's a really cool moment. Did you know, by the way, that came against the Islanders and Wayne Gretzky, when he broke Gordie Howe's goal record, also did it against the Islanders?
I only knew that happened because my friend works for the Islanders, and he was there at UBS Arena.
It's really funny because Ovechkin tied the record at home in DC. And then the next game on the Capital schedule was on Long Island. And the tickets for the Islanders game were spiking up to like $1,000. And I remember I'm thinking to myself, if Ovechkin doesn't break the record during that game,
Oh
people
my
spent
god.
$1,000 to just watch an Islander game.
I would riot because those tickets are normally like $15.
You know what I mean? 1,000, and no offense, but the Islanders are probably one of the most boring teams in hockey. So, for them to spend $1,000 and not see anything special happen,
Yeah, it's such a waste.
it would be such a waste. But they got to see history, so I'm sure
Worth it.
it was worth it. Anyway, congrats to Ovi. So, Seesaw. That's how we end every episode. That's how we'll end this episode. So, something I saw, I started that show on Apple TV called The Studio, starring Seth Rogen, and basically anybody who's anybody. You never heard of this?
No, I've never heard of the studio.
So basically, The Studio is a show about Seth Rogen plays a studio head named Matt, and he just becomes the CEO of the studio, and he's like has to run everything. It's very realistic to, in a comedic sense, but very realistic to what it must be like to actually try and green light projects, visit sets. The executive side that we honestly talk about a decent amount ish on this podcast. The show takes a real comedic spin to it, and literally anybody who's anybody's in it. Martin Scorsese had a cameo in the first episode as himself. It was so funny that I think he should win an Emmy for his I think they have a cameo section for Emmys.
Yeah.
He should be at least nominated.
It's that good?
It's that good. It's so good. You know who else is in the show? Bryan Cranston, since you're a big fan of the course of Bryan Cranston.
King, love him.
Everybody is in this show.
Seth Rogen's the lead?
Everybody. He's the lead. He doesn't play himself, but a lot of people play themselves.
That's pretty cool. I gotta check that
It's
out.
such a a meta, kind of take
Yeah, I
on
like that.
where the industry is right now with a huge comedic spin. 10 out of 10 recommend watching it. It is so good. I've seen the first 2 episodes. I plan on watching more. I couldn't even begin to tell you everyone who's in the show. Everybody. I think Anthony Mackie's in the show. Bryan Cranston's in the show. Everybody's in the show. So Catherine Hahn is in the show. So highly recommend it. And something that I want to see, the new trailer for Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning came out recently.
No way do we have the same one.
Is that actually the same one?
Yeah,
No
keep
way. Mission Impossible. You know what's funny? I thought that you might pick it. I almost picked something else, and I was like, nah, I'm sticking with my gut. So
Yeah,
that's really funny.
Stick with it.
But yeah, the new trailer came out. It comes out next month. And you know what? Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1 now is no longer Part 1, just Dead Reckoning. It came out in July of 2023, right before Barbenheimer, and I feel like that movie really got swept under the rug in terms of excitement and just, people going to see it, because Barbenheimer was a whole other experience, theatrically speaking. So now you have The Final Reckoning coming out, and I really feel like this is going to be where Tom Cruise and this franchise can get its flowers. The trailer just looks astonishing. You got Tremel Tillman, who's in Severance. I'm very excited to see him in it. But just, I mean, they're bringing in a lot of people for this. The action, I think, is going to be off the charts. This franchise, I had never really seen it. In fact, speaking of Barbenheimer, I started to watch. I was like, all right, I'm going to watch all the Mission Impossible movies to prepare for Dead Reckoning, which was Dead Reckoning Part 1. And then I watched the first one, the Brian De Palma one. And then Barbenheimer happened, and I never got back to it for like another year. So I've been on the Mission Impossible grind, finally watching through all of them. And I am just so excited for what seems like is going to be the last entry of the franchise, at least main entry. With Tom Cruise, you never really know. And I know it's your pick, I guess, so I want to give you a chance to also speak on it. But man, it looks like it's going to be a big hit.
I'll just get into my seesaw. So what I saw is I'm showing my girlfriend all the Mission Impossible movies, is what I was planning on saying for what I saw.
Okay, yeah.
We watched 2 days ago, we watched the fourth one. That's my second favorite one so far. Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. The Burj Khalifa scene in Dubai, the entire Dubai sequence, I think is the greatest sequence of all the Mission Impossible movies. And I think a lot of people agree with that. It's just so clean.
That one, and a lot of people like the two others that I know come to mind, is the one when he's climbing up the pole, when he's got like
the fifth one.
Yeah, with his arms kind of behind him.
Yeah.
And then in the sixth one, him and Henry Cavill in the bathroom.
So those are great, but the entire Dubai sequence when they have to pretend that they're setting up two meetings, but the two people think it's one meeting, and it's probably the most undercover spy stuff Mission Impossible has done, and their masks don't work. And I think I've realized that the best part about Mission Impossible is when they have a plan and that plan goes to shit like almost immediately, and they all have to improvise. Because that is the entirety of the Dubai sequence and him climbing the tallest building in the world. It's just so good. So the
only thing about that one is Luther's not really in it.
He shows up in the last like 5 minutes.
Yeah, but that's almost like a kick in the balls because it's like we could have had him in the movie, but we didn't have him in the movie.
It is a problem. So I've been watching those with my girlfriend. Shout out her. She's amazing, beautiful, perfect woman. And I think she really liked that one. She didn't really like the third one that much, but she liked the fourth one a lot better.
Better than the second.
The first one, I don't even like the first one, if I'm being honest. The first and second I don't like.
Nah, the first one's good, but the second
we're watching the fifth one tonight, so that's what we're watching tonight. But what I want to see is I'm so excited for the new one. Final Reckoning. You just talked about it. I don't have anything else to add to it, really. It just looks great. But the one thing I do want to talk about real quick is stunts. Now that stunts is getting added to the 100th Oscars, do you think that Tom Cruise, is it going to be the stunts coordinator or is it going to be the stunt man that gets nominated? Because is Tom Cruise going to get nominated for stunts?
Not this year because it's not getting added.
Oh, it's not added this year?
I know, isn't that kind of like...
It's not. This year's 99?
Yeah, I think this is 99.
Oh, shit.
Yeah,
damn.
The year before... or the year after Tom Cruise walks away, probably walks away from Mission Impossible, and they're adding stunts.
Because if anyone deserves, I mean, I don't know all the stunt people's names. Obviously, all I know is Tom Cruise. But if anyone deserves an Oscar for stunts, it's Tom Cruise because he doesn't have to do them. The stunt people, they have to do them, and that's great on them for doing them. I could never do that. So they deserve their flowers for sure. But Tom Cruise could easily leave it up to them, and he's like, no, I got this.
And he's what? 63?
Something like that. 62, 63. And he drives motorcycles off cliffs and he jumps out of planes and he does that entire Halo jump from the sixth one from Fallout as himself.
That was crazy. He Halo jumps into Paris.
And he's really doing that. And I looked up that apparently that is really only reserved for military people to do for movies. And like military aircraftsmen, Air Force people, they're supposed to do that. And Tom Cruise did it himself. And the seventh one, the new one coming out. No, the eighth one is the new one coming out. He looks like he jumps. He's like holding onto the side of a plane, but not like he did in the fifth one.
Yeah, like one of those like kind of hang glide wing planes.
Like a biplane.
Like, yeah.
The fact that he's holding onto multiple planes in multiple movies and he's actually doing it is just insane.
Well, it's the same thing with the Top Gun movies. In Top Gun Maverick, he does his own fly. He knows how to fly plane. And he does his own
He
flying.
does it all. So I'm so excited for this movie because the commitment to these movies, and they're good. Like this is like Planet of the Apes for me, where I will recommend this franchise to everybody because they are actually genuinely good. I think, I mean, I thought at some point we would make like when the movie comes out, we do like our own lists or our rankings of these movies. But I'm going to tell you right now that the sixth one, Mission Impossible Fallout, is my favorite action movie of all time. I'm pretty sure.
I don't know if it's my favorite action movie of all time. But it's up there, and it's definitely my favorite Mission Impossible movie.
I think it's just so good. It's amazing. So that's my what I want to see, and that's what I saw, and that's what I'm watching tonight is the fifth one, which is also really good.
That's exciting stuff, you know. And I was gonna switch mine when I thought that you were gonna choose Mission Impossible. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Is just to kind of, as we're at the end of our episode, get people excited for next week, because the thing that I'm really looking forward to is that we're going to be doing kind of a double review thing with Daredevil Born Again's season 1 finale, and then we're going to review the new Sinners movie, Ryan Coogler's new movie, which is getting a lot of praise early on. It's got 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. I recommend, I don't know if you saw this, but they released like a 10-minute promo of just Ryan Coogler thoroughly explaining all the different formats of how they film the movie in IMAX, the different aspect ratios, how they've been adjusting them and changing them, which theaters you can see it in. Anyone, including you, Jack, but anyone who hasn't seen that, go search it out. I'll even send it to you, Jack, after this. Like,
where's it on YouTube?
You can find it anywhere. I'm sure it's on YouTube. It is maybe one of the best, like, you could see how much this man loves film and loves the craft, and it's just he's putting his heart on the sleeve just to sell the movie, and it makes me want to see it even more. So I'm hearing that some people say it could be his magnum opus, and so the fact that next week we get to kind of have these two big things, a big TV show and a big movie that we get to review and talk about and get into real depth about. That's something else, I guess, an alternate seesaw, but I'm really looking forward to the finale of Daredevil and the Sinners movie, and then talking about it here on the podcast.
I'm excited too. I think people should look out. Remember, share this podcast with your friends. You could find us on Instagram, Spotify, YouTube, TikTok at Box Office Dynasty. And we're here every week, and we're talking about movies. We're talking about everything you love. We're talking about everything we love. So thank you, everybody who's listening to this. This was a great episode, I think. So I think hopefully everyone's going to enjoy it, and we'll see you next week.
Until next time, everybody, have a good one.